for interactive brokers. And by the time I did it, it took off. I says, shoot, I'll just, and I was watching the euro. So it did. I bought it at 10, and then I bought it again at 7. And in fact, hang on, guys, I can show you this. Isn't this amazing?
So you got out at 28, and right now it's trading at 23. Does that buy us an extra hour?
Probably. Okay. Let me show you this 1 minute. And actually, this was my first entry. Was right here. I liked. And let me pull this open. You guys saw this thing coming down, and we'll get my tools up, and then we'll get on to good stuff. But this was my first entry right there, and then it popped up, and this was my second entry, was right here. And I bought. I only bought 2 contracts here because I was a little leery of it. It just wasn't acting as strong as the pound was. And then I bought 2 more over here. So I actually had a fairly light lot on this one. It didn't come down and get climatic like I kind of wanted. If you looked at oil, I was looking for oil to give me a better 1 minute retest. But I didn't get it on oil. So it's too bad because oil's moved up 80 points from the bottom. It's too bad. But there we go. That was the trade. And yeah.
Sorry. Do you ever factor in like the whole number?
No, not on E-minis. I don't. I know on stock, Dave, that is a consideration.
Okay.
That we get that's a bigger issue. But I don't. With the E-minis, I really have not seen that to be significant.
I mean, it bounced off,
Yeah.
1,300 twice, right?
Yeah, it did.
I just wondered if that meant anything, or I mean, myself, if it actually ticked under by a tick or two and then went up,
yeah.
I don't know, but I guess it's based on the Forex, I guess, right? So
it is.
It's going to be driven by a lot of electronic trading, I guess.
Yeah. If you look at the 5 minute, actually I've got a 60 minute up right there in the middle. And this is part of the reason I was a little bit leery. What you're looking at here is that blue line is a daily low. In fact, I'll just switch this over to a daily. But this is a daily low. And I really, really wanted this to come all the way in to this blue line. And it just didn't do it. And that's kind of why I was a little leery of it. I was hoping that we would have come all the way into support on this pullback. And that's part of the reason I took it a little bit lighter than a normal lot would have been. Because I thought, gosh, this thing's got a 50-50 chance that the real support's still below me. And I didn't get anything super climatic as far as volume on this end. Look at this 5 minute chart. That's it. We didn't get a wide range bar. We got a little volume pickup on the bottom, but nothing that was climatic. And that maybe it's going to take another retest, or maybe it's going to break now. I don't know. But in retrospect, that was a lucky trade. The exit, I mean, because I was really going to trail it, but I thought, I'm just going to kill it. I don't want to be looking at a trade, trying to talk to everybody, and it's just not a good thing. So it was fortuitous, I suppose. So there we go. I'm out of that trade. And thank you guys for getting me out. Okay. How's everybody's week been going? Hello? So tell me, have you guys did you guys make some money yesterday?
Yeah.
Now, Carl, I know you made some money.
No. Yeah, actually, I just took one trade on the euro. I'm experimenting with it, and that's it. Just a little bit.
All right. Well, we're going to talk about. I'm not going to talk to you guys about oil today. I changed my mind. The one more subject that I wanted to share with you because of yesterday, I moved that up to today. Or because of what happened yesterday, I moved that lesson up to today. Oil is okay. We're going to catch that one, but it's not as useful as I think the discussion that we're going to have today is going to be. So, what I want to share with you guys is how to deal with trend days and what to do with them, how to trade trend days. And let's call yesterday a trend day. And it didn't trend in the fashion that we were up hundreds of points or a huge up day, but it was a trend in that the darn thing never broke any support, even minor. It held everything. Guys, I got to just make a quick look and make sure that I don't have a stop in somewhere. Okay, good. I always close down my entry screen and I always hit a cancel all. And I don't know if you guys do that, but I hate it when that's funny. My order entry screen's really been slow updating today. I hate it when I leave a stop in and walk away. That always makes me feel bad about life. So I just wanted to make sure that I didn't have one still sitting there somewhere, which I don't. So I can't get filled while we're still talking. Okay, let me talk to you about trend days and how to deal with them. And this will be we'll take as much time dealing with this issue as you want. And I'll actually show you a couple of trades that I got into yesterday that worked out really well. And let's go pull up. Where are we? Let me change screens. Okay, let's go back to one. Fax, are you still in the euro? What did you do with that trade?
Trailed it 2 minutes and was out.
You got out. So you picked up a few ticks on it.
I did.
Excellent.
Nice.
And Carol, were you trading it as well or just watching it?
No, I'm just watching it. I'm a little sick. I'm not trading when I'm sick.
Oh, hey, great idea.
Yeah.
Great idea. You know, I completely agree with you. Okay, let's go get a chart up here. And we're just going to go get a naked chart with not much in it. And we'll go back to yesterday. And then I've got some actual charts that I'll show you from my stockpile. Here we go. And I want to be on, what have I got, a 2 minute? Is this yesterday? No, that's the 4th. Let me get this. Let me go. I'm sorry, guys. Let's get this to a time period we can. There we go. There's today. Here is yesterday. That's what we're looking for right here. Now, you know, as far as trading the open, this is obviously the we apparently gapped down. And I don't remember, guys. I was more focused on a 24 hour, so I'm not sure I remember that. Let me go pull up while I'm right here. Let's get these all together. And let me switch this. You know, I'll just switch this one back to 24. And I've got the other one on my. Guys, a couple of you guys are running e-signal besides me, right?
Yeah, I do.
Dave, you are. And Paul, are you, or is it? No, Carol is, right?
Yeah, I do have e-signal.
Yeah, I've got.
All right. The question is you guys have you noticed? Are you guys happy with your e-signal?
Are you noticing it just slowing down a little bit?
Yeah, it is. And I have to rebuild these charts about every month and a half. I find if I just dump my chart. I mean, I've memorized it enough. I know when I've got snapshots, I know what it is. But if I just dump the whole thing and go back in and recreate my charts, then it runs really well again. And I don't know whether I'm getting, corrupt stuff going on in here. I'm not sure, but I tell you, I'm not real happy with.
But Neil, they're phasing out their system, I think. That's why.
And they're going to version 7. Is that what you're?
I don't know. I had a problem, so I called him the other day. I know what you're talking about. And he was explaining to me, download the new version, we're phasing out our system to a new one, blah, blah. But you're right, though, there's problems there.
Okay.
They were supposed to have the new one, I think, out by now, and I'm actually using it, but there's issues with it, and so I'm, I guess they got a lot of bugs to work out in it before they can release it.
So it's not officially released then, is it?
You can use the beta version. I've been using it for a month or two now.
Yeah.
And there's things that I like about it, and the last month I've been sticking with it. I was kind of using both for a little while. I've been sticking with it now.
Okay.
But I think it's a different technology, so that what Girl's saying about phasing out the old one might be true, right? Because usually they will support their older versions up to for a couple of years, but
yeah, maybe that's what's kind of being frustrating. But let me show you. Let me walk you through. Let me walk you through this. And guys, I didn't get any of this yesterday morning. I was busy with some other things, had my focus elsewhere, and I just plain didn't get on this move up. And there were a couple of places, really from what we're looking at, there were some places to get on. I know the YM the ES had a nice little 5-minute, very, very controlled pullback that right in this area, actually this is the NQs, but it's right in this area that gave it a nice clean entry there. But regardless, guys, here's, and one of the questions is when can you leave? I know Dave asked us, when can we leave stuff on? And what I've hoped to give you guys is information, or at least the tools to read the environment. And we've done this experiment in the past, and I actually still do it in my head, and occasionally I'll do it physically, is I'll draw my lines and say, here's my congestion area. Here's my congestion area. How do prices react in those areas? Here's my congestion area. And do prices, once we pull through, and the other part is when I see a good move, a good physical, and look at this 5-minute. And here was our other, and I know I'm talking about a couple of different subjects, but look at this 5-minute. And when we measure and say, all right, the thing I always tell you is that when we come into resistance, the first time into resistance, what are we going to get? Well, the answer is we're going to get a stall, or we're going to get a reaction. We're going to get a pullback or a stall. We're going to get a reaction, however that comes. Well, this morning, or yesterday morning, that's not the case. And that's a big, big, big clue. If we can punch through resistance without much reaction, guys, then your mind immediately needs to go to, this is a strong market. And then, if that's the conditions, is now let's start watching how are prices acting. And if they're respecting support very, very well, or not even pulling back to support, guys, you have to think, I want to take and leave something on a pivot. It may not be the whole trade, but it's okay to start thinking, I want to leave a trailing pivot trail or a position that I'm going to leave on for a long time. And then just start monitoring it for exhaustion signals. Normal retracements, pullbacks to support, aren't exhaustion, aren't reason to get out. They're just simple, normal ebbs and flows in the overall trend. So here's the measurement that I use. And I was actually thinking about this, sometime during last evening. I was actually thinking through the day and kind of reevaluating it in my mind. And I thought, I probably have not explained this very well, and that's really why we're talking about it now. Is as I reviewed what I think I have explained and tried to remember what we've covered. I'm not sure that I've covered it and described this concept very well, because I know I've always told you, first time into resistance, expect a reaction, and so never do I fault you for offering out at this resistance area. In fact, I typically do that anyway. I try to go out in lots of 3. So if you're offering out up in this area, for example, I think that's actually prudent. To take it all off, again, depends on how you feel. I don't like to do that, especially this early. Once we get into a range, then I'll show you how I traded some of that junk up in the top yesterday. But as you watch this environment early in the mornings like this, in the first hour of the day, the first half hour particularly, you'll find that we will get good strong movements that sometimes will blast through these support and resistance areas. In this case, if you see price go through resistance like it did here yesterday morning, guys, immediately you need to change your paradigm to scalping to just holding some positions for a little bit longer. It looks like the euro wants to pop up here again. But this was a good signal that says I'm ready to go and I'm really serious about going. As it just went through this double top with no hesitation. So from there, then you can start monitoring. And this was a very nice retracement, very controlled retracement back into support, and off it went and just kept on going. And every time it pulled back, they were very small, short retracements, and away you go. When you see these types of very shallow retracements, guys, I'll show you, and I'll show you over on the 2-minute, and where I didn't get this good move. And here's the exit point. I think Dave, no, excuse me. It was another trader. Sorry, Dave. I hope you got this. But here's our points of exhaustion, okay? And as you look at these, as you look at this, now I don't have my long-term lines up here. But if I recall, there are no lines up here. NQs were clearly out of void or into void, right? If we flip over to a daily, we had broken through our highs. So there was no reference points up here if we go back to 1941, I think there was a reference point. But that was all. There was no recent reference points to stop this contract. I think, as I remember, the ES might have been at some reference points, but the NQs were not. But as we get up into here, we start seeing a breakout failure, and we see it with tick divergences. By now, you guys recognize those immediately, right? Yep. Yes. So that's, there's a clue that all of a sudden we've moved a long ways from 45. Gosh, from the open, boy, from 42 to 67, you get a 20-point NQ move, and you got to think this thing's going to run out of steam somewhere. But having said that, that's what we're looking for, and this responded beautifully to all of these areas of even minor support, and in many cases didn't even pull back to support and just kept doing this little chug. That's the environment when you really just want to leave something on. And the key to that was the explosion off the bottom that didn't even stop. This was the reference point where that double top was, and you can see it on a 2, but on a 5 it didn't really even pause. So there was a small reaction, but again, it was a very, very small reaction to that double top. So having been in this, and if you can catch these and get on them, and guys, there's one more. We've talked about this. This is, of course, this is a message that is really important, and that is, anytime you can push through Now there's a little resistance right here. So I understand that, there is a problem. And if that's all we're looking at, let's go over and look at it right there. When we see this much, it's easy for us to think, well, this is topped out, it's done, it's probably going to get a retracement back into this lower area. If I'm just looking at this, then this topping tail gives me a real caution on being long anymore. Is that fair? You guys feel the same way?
Yeah.
Yep. All right. That should be right. That should be right. But here's the message that says this one isn't following through. And when we can push through, particularly at resistance like this with not much effort, well, when I say effort, is if this takes a while to build, we're transferring that supply up here, right? That's what happens if we base up here a while. This, the topping tail up here, sellers are hitting this and whatnot. The message is that we've got resistance here. We've got supply up here that needs to be transferred before it can move any higher. We need to get rid of that. Well, when it takes so little time for that to occur, two things are happening. Well, one of two things. There just isn't that much there, and that's part of it. Or these buyers are just so powerful that this baby is going almost no matter what. And that's the message right here. These little bottoming tails at support, at resistance like this, boy, this is a 1, 2, 3 that's worth taking, because now we're above resistance. Now, because this is the opening bar, we're going to see some volume in this thing, I suspect, yeah. We're going to see some huge volume in here that I wouldn't contribute to the fact that it is a great 1, 2, 3 setup. You contribute all that volume into just the fact that we're at the opening 2 or 3 minutes, and we're always going to see that volume. So the volume, the message in the volume, even though that's what we want to see on a bar that breaks out of a base for a 1, 2, 3, we want to see the volume. Automatically, it's going to be there because we're at the open. But pushing through that topping tail and having that big topping tail, ugly red bar, get ignored is a big deal. And then you can see the remaining attempts for this to get pushed down. Guys, you could have taken this thing up here. The remaining sellers were having very little success. They were hitting it, but with really no success. And then finally they give up. Obviously, they give up. And then off we go. And all these bottoming tails are telling us the same thing, that this thing's going to go higher. You can look at the pound right now, and I think the pound's going to go higher. I think the euro's going to go higher. Look at the bottoming tails on the 5 minute. And we're pushing through a 5 minute topping tail. Not a big one, but a 5 minute topping tail right now on the euro. So as you look at this stuff, this is all just footprints that tell us that the buyers are having their way. And this thing is going to go higher. You don't get that many bottoming tails and not have some success and follow through, particularly where we overcame our resistance so well, and this topping tail bar really was ignored. Very little attention given to it, and that's a really good indicator that again, that the message in this bar we shouldn't be too terribly concerned with. Okay, now assuming that we're not in this thing like I was not, then how do we play this? And this is one of the ways that, again, you measure and watch retracements. And this looks a little different depending on what time frame we're in. But here's our 5. And as you look at this, again, now, I know, Paul, I'm going to, I sent back your chart. Did you get it last night?
Yeah, I did.
And I went through the explanation on your head and shoulders, and you were right. It was setting up as a head and shoulders, but here, guys, here again is the issue that you're going to get in these consolidations. You're going to get a head and shoulders, or actually it's double top. Excuse me, Paul. We're going to get patterns that we may think are pretty good. Well, we got a double top, and if we go to here, even if we go to here, guys, these consolidations, and I know I'm only using these because you know how I feel about fibs, but I'm only using these just to show you the degree of retracement that we
Go out,
experience. Most of these will stay in that top 25.
I have to listen.
Good bullish consolidations will stay in that top
There's a delivery
25,
for you, please go
which
out.
we held yesterday. This isn't uncharacteristic of a bullish consolidation. So even though you get a double top, or even, not necessary. Guys, just be real careful not to think short when these retracements are so shallow in respect to the market. And Paul, you had a perfect setup. Your double top, your little breakdown there, the little retest that we were looking for, the whole thing was pretty textbook for a short. It just occurred in the top of a bullish consolidation. And so you didn't misread the chart as far as what the candles were suggesting in the smaller time frame. The bigger time frame, it was just a horribly bullish consolidation and one that didn't really work for you, obviously. But guys, here's what I'm looking for. And I took a couple of trades, and
I cannot talk now.
yesterday. This is the 5. I'll show you this. I'll show you the ones that I did get. And this one should have ran. Yeah, that one ran. Okay. Let me go over to the 2. Because this is what I'm looking for. And you'll see them both on the 5 and the 2. And I was able to get a couple of these. That one. Now, that doesn't look like much, right?
It doesn't mean she did anything wrong, but there's a dispute.
What it is, guys, again, we've got
Again, I'm sorry to apologize.
prices acting very, very well. And when we start into this bullish consolidation, you'll see it more as we get into here a little bit more. When you get these little bars, this is a 2.
I told you this is gonna happen before,
let me go
right?
Pull it up on a 1
Of
because
course. Tell your daughter to start paying.
actually, here's what I'm going to do.
It's her fault. I told you 10,000 times for her to move from there.
I don't want to keep changing.
She said
times
nothing, right? And I told you not to put her name, your name in. So now let me. Please, I miss half of it.
I'm going to go to a 1 on this one. And I know what we're getting into some super, super small time frames.
It's not a big deal. It's gonna be 1 year until it gets there, but the money, in the end, they're gonna tell you, please settle
And
it
it
for
really, I guess it
$7,000.
really
You're
doesn't
gonna
look
pay.
all that
I don't
much
have
different
even
here on the 1.
5,000.
Didn't I tell you not to do it? Don't tell me now it's
Here's
too
my
late.
time frame.
It's your daughter, and I told you before it happened.
Make sure that I'm on the
And I
right
told you from
place.
experience. So please don't
What
bother
time
me
is
with
this,
it.
Neil? Come on,
Tell
pay
your daughter to
attention.
start working.
10 o'clock.
What do you think? These
Okay,
people
well,
eat
that
shit?
helps.
This is their
If I get to the
business.
right place. There we go. That's what I wanted to see. There it is on the 1.
You're gonna end up paying like 8,000, no problem, but you have to pay it. They're gonna prove that she was there. It's very easy.
So here's our,
I told you it happened to me before.
Who's the guy that came in?
He wants to make sure that you have
Here's
it
our
in your
two.
hands.
I'm gonna tell him.
and you can see
how
it
I
very
call
well
him.
on the 2.
I don't know.
Here's our 1, and here's our 5. There's our 5, right there. And all I'm looking for is these little teeny failures, and I'm going to show them to you. Initially you're going to think, is that big enough to trade off of? And let's go back and look at some of these, and actually they are. When you see these 1 or 2 ticks break down like this, in these bullish consolidation, guys, these are entries. Now, how I trade these is I will plug in, depending on how much room I have to go with, I'll plug in, and I was actually trading the NQ on the early session here, and then I went over and traded the Russell, because the Russell didn't give me quite this same picture this morning, or in the lunch hour, but it did in the afternoon. So I'll pick up, and I'm looking for, 7 to 10 ticks out of these is really about all you normally are going to get. I don't leave them on and trail them, because I know in these bullish consolidation, guys, I'm not good enough to know when they're going to break out and move higher and when they're going to come right back in. I do know it takes time, and usually the first hour or 2, these things won't break out. They'll go up to the tops, and then they will come back in. And that's really kind of what this one did, is we actually broke out and had a breakout failure. And then it came back in. And guys, whatever you do, don't short these. even though we had a breakout failure, all that failure said is get out of the trade. It was not a short. Was not a short. You're going to give your commission away, and your trades are you just won't make much money on a trade, even if it's perfect and you can get out right. They just won't retrace much. So guys, don't again, these counter trend trades only if they're climatic, only if we have the counter trend trade rules, and a breakout failure isn't one of them in a bullish consolidation like this. So, but the point is, guys, watch for these little ticks, and you're going to see them in various places that you can trade. Now, there's one more over here. We've got the base, and I don't like to buy them too quickly. So, for example, I would be, and I didn't even try to buy this one. These bars, we just barely started to break. I like them a little bit longer, and this one's a little bit better. Okay. Now, if you can get into them, great. You want to pop them up immediately. And if you were to take this one first, you would want to put a break even on this thing. They should not come back in. So if you were getting in this one somewhere, and I'll tell you guys, I'm not trying to buy them. When I'm doing it, I'm not trying to buy it up here. I'm trying to buy it down here in the body of the bar. Okay? And here's why. Now, only in these situations, and I'll show you these couple of trades, only in these situations do I want to buy them before I complete a bar. But because of the bullishness here, and frankly, guys, I wish we'd have had a little higher up-down volume number. Our trend was great. Our VIX was good. ADD was average because it wasn't super duper, but up-down volume was still only a couple 100,000 through this time period, 250 or 300,000, as I remember. It wasn't stellar, but the way that this was acting is it just told me that this baby is not going to retrace, and I will buy those before I take out the high up a bar.
Yeah.
Now, Dave.
How do you do that? Do you just watching like a level 2 and just look like after it breaks a low?
Yep,
Okay, so
I'm watching my 100 tick.
Okay.
Yep, here's my 100 tick. And I mean, if this was the deal, this is what I'm looking at, and I'm trying to buy. If I can come back in here, this is exactly where I want to be buying, is this little scenario right here. In fact, that is this. And this is what I want to buy. And as soon as I can get back up into this base area, I don't necessarily need to be trading above a bar here. This is fine on a 100 tick for in there, because this is only one tick away. The middle of the bar, this whole bar is only 2 ticks from top to bottom. So I'm going to try to be buying this thing as it pulls back up in. I don't want to wait for a 1 minute bar to complete or a 2 minute bar. It's just too far. And you really need to have a pretty much, if you can get them down there, you're looking for a very, very tight stop. Because these guys need to pop. If they're going to work, they're going to pop, and they're going to go pretty quick. But I'm offering out 7, 10 ticks, 12 ticks if I've got a little more void, and I'm offering the whole thing out. And I'm not going to trail. Because, again, guys, I don't know when they're going to turn. They're going to stop up here near the top again. And I don't try to get them right to the very, very tip top of the resistance area. If I can get 3/4 the way up somewhere in there, I'm happy with that scalp. And these are such high odds trades, guys. They really are. That they're worth taking. They're worth taking these trades. And wait for a good one. Wait for a little base to break, and then jump on them. And you can jump on them really close to the breakdown. So let's go through these and look at a couple more of these. Again. This one doesn't appeal to me. It's this doesn't appeal at all. This one doesn't really appeal. I don't really care for just a PBS, just a V bottom. I want a basing, breakdown, and then go. So I don't really care for that one. This one makes sense. And this was right at the end of the day. And I actually took the Russell here instead of the NQ. But it did the same thing. did the same thing. And you got a little base building, and you got a breakdown. And that's what we're looking for in these bullish consolidations. This kind of an environment. Let me show you this. This is a chart out of one of my stacks of charts. And this is really, guys, in a trend day, in a bullish day like this, I really developed this strategy for me just from watching these. And I was so frustrated. I remember years ago, I got so frustrated when we'd have these really good days where we'd get big trend days, and I couldn't stay in them. And back then, the YM or the markets would move 1.5 or 2%, and I got a piddly amount of money out of it, and it was always frustrating that I couldn't get more of it. Hang on one second, guys. Sorry, guys. Okay, I'm back to you. So I was always really frustrated on how can I play these? How can I get in them, and how can I stay in them, and how can I make some money on these? So I spent a fair amount of time just looking at charts, and we go back to failures, and these are the kinds of things that we're looking for. A double bottom is very playable, and as you look at this thing, and again, guys, this has all the stuff that we really want to see. In that, this double bottom comes with a breakdown failure. That makes sense? I mean, I know it makes sense. You guys see it now, right? Those are little amplifiers. I love this little formation on a double bottom. It's great. So, again, is this one you would take? Maybe. Now, this at least gives us a base and a breakdown on this entry. I don't like the V entries, and I don't try to take them, but little bases with breakdowns, double bottoms, those are things that, again, we're in an uptrend. That's the key. If you remember one of my rules, and I talk about this all the time, only because they're so powerful, that failures are the amplifier. Those are the ones that give us the biggest bang for the buck, and they increase our odds tremendously. So we go over here, we're basing, we've got a breakdown failure, breakdown bar. We go over here, this is more of a V bottom. I mean, we've still got the base here that we break down from. So this one really wouldn't have given you your ticks, but it's tradable. And again, keep your stop short, tight. This one would have given you your ticks that you were after. Here's a nice breakdown failure. So this is a V bottom, not one that I like. I like that one. So those are the kinds of things. I'll actually, let me make this smaller. If you guys want to capture this chart, that's up to you. Or tell you what, I'll just drop them all in emails to you and send you. I've got 3 charts, and here's the next one. Again, this is really about the same stuff. We've got the bullish consolidation. Here's our bottoming tails, or our double bottom. Little breakdown in here. These are little double bottom. We get a red bar ignored. There's a double bottom. It didn't come quite the same way. But as you look at these days where we get really good trends out of the market, and you look and go back and say, how do I get on the darn things? How do I either stay in, or how do I get in them? These are some of the clues that give you an idea of how to get and how to play these things. There's a lot of them. There's a breakdown failure right here. Little retest here. So there's a nice little one right in here. Just other than that, guys, these little one-tick breakdowns like this, when this bar gets ignored, guys, you can play those. You can play those. So there's a good one. Again, see how common this theme is? These bottoming bars. This is a pretty common theme in these bullish consolidations. So again, guys, we're just looking for a scalp. If we can sneak out a few ticks out of them, boy, we don't need a whole lot more than that. This one gave me, I actually only took 9 ticks out of it on the Russell.
Yes.
It was right here, and let me go back and I'll show it to you, because again, it was, let me, right there, right here, that's the 1 minute, and I actually bought this thing at 10, at 70, no, yeah, it was at 10, because my bottom, no, it was at 20, I'm sorry, it was 1 tick over my bottom low. It popped back up, and it actually gave me a little tick down when I tried to get it, and I got it at 20, at 90.20, and I just offered out when I came up here ahead of it, and I got 9 ticks out of this one. It ended up going a whole bunch more. I didn't get it. I did take this one as well, and I think I got 9 or 7 ticks out of this one. I have to go back and look. And this was the same deal. Little breakdown, and away you go. And guys, those are, again, they're not going to make you a ton of money, but if you take a fair, whatever you're comfortable with, these things are just super, super high odds. So what I'm going to do is just tell you guys, go back and look at, you can print out yesterday's charts, save yesterday's charts. It's okay to be on, in fact, I'm looking at 100 tick when and that, I think, yep, that is right here in this chart. This is the failure down here in this 100 tick. That's all it was. It's only a 1 tick failure right here. It's not a big failure. They don't have to be big failures.
Neil?
Yes, Dave.
How do you, like you say, trail tight? How do you actually trail? Like, do you?
I have my finger on the button on these.
Okay.
Because really, Dave, honestly,
if you walk through that 100 tick, because I see the little red topping tail, and the next bar went just 1 tick below, but you would have kept it through that. Above your 3 to the right. Yeah, so the little red one before that.
Oh, yeah,
you would have stayed there. And
oh, heck yes. In fact, I only use this 100 tick to enter, and then I'm really just looking for offering out up here. I know I'm going to get a little bit of bouncing around here. Isn't a big surprise. And guys, truthfully, I'll do this one of 2 ways. I'll use an OCO that just says I'm taking 7 ticks, plug it in, and there you go. If I'm not using that, then I'm always going to have an order in front of me when I'm doing these things to take 7 or 10 or 12 or whatever the distance there is, and so I'll either do it on an OCO that is all pre-programmed, and I don't do that very often because on these what I find is that I have time that entering them. I'll take an entry as quick as I can get them. I'll just hit the market button and buy it. And sometimes you get pushed a tick or 2, and sometimes you get a pretty good fill. And then I'll go in and get my stop in immediately. Or I don't put my physical stop in. I just have a kill the trade button, and I go in. order is I put in my offer before I'm even up there. And this is a couple of minutes away, so there's plenty of time. It takes me just seconds to put in an offer out. So I'll throw that offer out first, and then I'll go to, and usually a lot of these I'll just trail it, watching it, and I'll kill it if it doesn't do what I think it should be doing. I'll just kill it and take whatever I have. These are just purely scalps, 3-minute, 5-minute scalps. That's all they're really designed to be, and that's all. So I'm gonna buy them as quick as I can buy them, and I'm gonna offer out, and not try to trail. I just have found I get more money out of them, generally speaking. I'll miss a few that'll run a long ways, but they don't usually go very far because they're still in a bullish consolidation. And at any rate, after a few hours, I can start looking for a breakout, particularly if we get through the lunch. Then they're still consolidating. Then I don't mind looking for a breakout that will run again. But generally speaking, and that's actually what happened here. Is we just come out of the lunch, and then we got this breakout that took us on up, and that's not uncommon to have happen. So I'll look for that, but usually, gosh, see, that took 2 hours. That's a pretty normal, through the lunchtime period, that's a pretty normal thing to have happen. And as you approach the lunch, or you get through the lunch, then you can start looking for the breakout, and then it would maybe be worth holding something a little longer. But Dave, quickly, all I'm looking for is a quick scalp. So again, I'm not going to try to buy it above my 2-minute or my 1. If I can buy it on a 100 tick, I'll do it. But as soon as it comes back up in here, I'm going to try to buy this thing. And this is the one that actually filled it at 92.10. I remember that even number, and this is the one that actually filled at 92.10. So, guys, on these, again, bullish consolidations, they're relatively easy to identify when they're occurring, and our internals were all with us. So,
Neil, can I ask you something about those?
Yes, please.
Okay, but this can you plug in VODI on the chart? You know, once you did a lesson in ETR, you know, when VODI is trending up nicely and does not respond to any retracements, and you have this bullish consolidation on top, the way we had yesterday, you look for a failure to get in. And you did a lesson on it actually, like 1 hour. So yesterday I'm looking at it and I'm thinking, VODI is not exactly textbook, but it's still almost textbook, you know, like trending up. And we have this consolidation, and I'm thinking, what is Neil looking for here to enter? So, you know, I entered on the TF about 115, but I got out so quick. Yeah, I got out so quick because I wasn't sure if that's what I was looking for. And I got like about 7, 8 ticks, whatever.
It's good. Perfect.
Yes, but I don't think was the right thing to do. And I want to know what you think about it. Not just about the trade, but about, you know.
No, I think it's the right thing to do. I think that was a good entry.
Yeah, there was an inside bar, and we had like tick divergence there, and we have the VODI trending up, so I was thinking it's a good trade, but yeah,
completely agree.
Right there.
Yeah, I see your entry. And see, the thing I like about exactly, Carol, this is really exactly the thing that I like to see, because again, you know, we go over here, and where is resistance? Is it right there, or support? Is it down a few ticks? I don't know where it is. I just know it's in that neighborhood. So I can see that I've got this going on here. And the best part of this is, again, you know, we go back and look at this, and from our open, we barely broke the 20, the TF actually broke the 25 just by a tick or two, and then held the whole thing. So all of our measurements that we look at says this looks great. This is a nice little breakdown. Failure. this is what I like about it, is you've got your base up in here, and the fact that we broke this prior low, I don't even care. I don't even care. This to me is of no concern that we broke this. That doesn't, because I don't believe it's changed the trend. Because you know what our 5 minute looks like. We haven't even got close to changing a 5 minute trend. And breaking these, we're going to do that in these kind of bases. But no, Carol, I love this entry. This is exactly what I was trying to show you. Is this is an ideal entry.
Okay, thanks. Perfect.
Ideal entry.
Okay. Okay, but last question then. But how would you? I don't want to be so particular. How would you play it? Like you see, like this little base over there, it scared me, so I got out. Should I? Would I?
Hang on. Let me give you the controls. There you go.
All right. Be honest with you. Wait, let me see which mouse I have. I like the 3 mouse. Okay, here.
Yep. There you go.
I got in, but you see, when I'm not sure what I'm doing, I really don't know what I'm doing. So I just got, yeah. So you see this bar, it was a few ticks, I really got out on the strength, and that was it. But look how far it went. So, but on the other hand, it's not like a straight up, like you can trail bars or something like this. So is it a good idea just to scalp it real quick, like 10, 20 ticks? Because once I remember, I'm asking you, because once I remember you did something like that in the ETR, exactly similar situation, and you pulled out a huge trade out of it. And after that you did a lesson on it. But it was not like mirror exact same situation. That's what I'm trying to ask you. Should I like got out quick or hold it for longer, you know, the way it turned out to be?
Boy, that is entirely up to you. And you know, here's guys, these rules. Now you're gonna, I'm sure you guys find yourself in the same place. Because we're human, we're creatures of emotion, and there's nothing that we can do to eliminate that emotion. It's just not happening. I know I see guys that say trade without emotion, and I'd sure like to meet someone who can do that, because it isn't me, and I really haven't met anyone who yet can do that. However, you know, Carol, specifically with regards to this situation, I find that some days mentally I'm prepared to sit through junk, and some days I'm simply not, even though the conditions that day could be very similar. Mentally, I'm prepared to sit through and go through retracements and whatnot, and then there's days I'm not simply, and it's a mental deal. And so I know in these bullish consolidations like this, that if I get a really good entry at the bottom of this base, in at support, you know, where this one was, for example, or similar to this, I don't mind leaving something on, because I know I'm going to, and here's what I like to do. In fact, with that Euro trade that I took, guys, I actually took half of that trade off. I didn't take the whole thing at 28, because when my second purchase was cheaper than my first purchase on that Euro trade. And I think I bought my first lot went in at 10, my second lot went in at 7, if I remember the numbers right. I sold half of that when I hit, I'd have to go look and see if it was 17 or 18. I sold half of that lot. In doing that, I knew that no matter what, I can't have a bad trade now. I've got a trade that is profitable, guaranteed, everything's cool, and I'm comfortable letting trades like that sit a little bit more. And in these scalps, yesterday I just wasn't in the frame of mind to let stuff sit, and in a couple of cases I probably should have. But if you're in the frame of mind, take something off, get profitable, and then you know. And there's nothing wrong. I think it's actually smart, because oftentimes, more often than not, I will try to leave something sit if I'm in a good trend. But Carol, that's the thing, is if you can get in here, take a little out of your trade, so that worst case scenario, there's no damage if this trade just goes to pot on you. So you would never want to see this bottoming tail being taken out. Not this, because this one's a support. And that's why I think, you know, you look at this, and what I've said sounds like a little bit of a contradiction, in that I tell you I'm not worried about this bottom, losing this bottom. That doesn't concern me. I would be more concerned about losing that bottom because we're at support. That makes sense?
Yes, perfect sense, yeah.
That's the one that I would be more concerned with. So leaving something on this trade, again, this is fine to do. If I look at the NQs, I think the NQs were actually a little sloppier in overall. I'm trying to remember the picture, but overall, I think the NQs looked a little sloppier in this consolidation. And so, then you really just have to make a decision. Do I want, how much can I tolerate? Okay. Well, they really weren't. They really weren't that bad. So here's our first real, boy, this is even tougher because in actuality, this one doesn't even come down to a good hard fixed area of support. I mean, that's the highest congestion area right here, and we don't really come down and test it much. So certainly you've got a pivot. Well, this does become a pivot low that would be a reference point I wouldn't want to see broken. But again, do you want to leave them on? I find that during lunch, the odds of getting very much movement isn't good, and I don't want to leave them on during lunch. But I will try to leave them on as we approach the end of the lunch hour, and that's where you usually find your breakouts. So if you can get profitable on a trade and get where you can't have any damage, you get in a strong day like this, and there's no reason not to leave them on.
Okay. Got it.
At least something on.
Okay.
And again, if you feel comfortable doing it, do it. Gosh, you can look through here. There's a nice ES. And guys, I don't trade the ES much anymore. There's really only a couple of good ones in the ES. This ES range is so tight anymore that I'm primarily trading the euro and the oil and a few of the commodities and the Russell. I'll take the NQ trades. There was some nice YM trades the last few days. That one got going. But I don't take too many ES trades because the range is so darn small and tight. But again, that's your call. If you like the ES, everybody's got a different cup of tea, and there's nothing wrong with it. So if you like it, and it's working for you, all the better. All the better. Now, guys, in these bullish consolidations that we get like this, I don't give the tick a great deal of attention. In terms of, do I have divergences? Do I have extremes? Do I have all that kind of stuff? A tick extreme would get my attention and probably get me out of a trade right away. But, having it like this one, this is a YM breakdown. And the fact that I had no tick, there really wasn't much of a tick extreme, a tick divergence on this doesn't concern me. I just don't care that I had no tick divergence to assist me with this, because I already know where my trend is. I've got the failure that's already occurred, and I just don't find these ticks to be valuable when we've got this tight consolidation. That's just been my experience. Now, does that fly with the other stuff that's in your head, or have I got some confusion going on?
I understood it perfectly. I was actually
Good.
going to send you a chart yesterday, but I couldn't. I'm sorry. Yeah. Exactly. What you said.
Say that again, Carol.
Now you made perfect sense. I mean, now everything is clear. I was going to send you a chart with it to ask you, but I just forgot after that. I'm sorry. That's all.
Oh, that's okay. If we got it, we're good. All right. So that's how I like to play those. That's what I find that works for me in these scenarios. So go back to, hey, hang on one, Dave, I'll come right back to you. Go back from yesterday and put some rules in. Make up a chart, make a folder where you can keep that chart, and then apply some rules. And if you do that with multiple days, you'll get refined into the entries that you like. Again, guys, I don't like V-bottoms. I want those breakdown failures to occur, and I want with really, unless, now, here's the other card, and I'll even complicate this further, is that I want the breakdown failures, and or I want some other confirmation from another contract. Now, what was interesting is that the Russell in the afternoon, it was the strongest all through the day, but in this consolidation, the Russell actually got a little weaker in that it wasn't responding as well as the other three contracts were. So, watch the other contracts. If they're all working fairly well and the ES breaks out or the YM breaks out and starts to move, and the NQs just haven't started to move but have been equally strong, grab the NQs. I mean, use those other contracts for validation as well. And oftentimes you can find that the trade will work. In fact, yesterday the trade that Kurt called yesterday in the room was similar to that. That the ES had already performed or almost completed a 5-minute shock bar, and the YM had not. And he ended up taking the YM above the prior 5-minute. That actually occurred probably a minute or more after the ES had taken out their 5-minute prior high on a shock bar. So the same setup occurred. It just, the YM took a little longer for it to hit, and so he waited for that to hit, which is fine if you want to trade a 5-minute time frame. So it was a good coordination between the two time frames. Okay, Dave, I'm sorry I cut you off.
Yeah, I was just going to ask, I know we're talking trend days, but since you kind of went over your scalping method, what other market scenarios would you use that scalping method in?
In any market scenario where I'm not seeing good trending stuff.
So fact, on a choppy day in general, you would...
Well, it depends on how choppy it is, Dave. This is kind of like case by case. If they get too choppy, and really how I determine that is I'm looking at a 5-minute chart, and that's going to be my clue. If the 5-minute looks relatively well behaved, then I don't have problems trading it. But on the days when the 5-minute doesn't look well, I'm not even going to try to scalp it. This was a few days ago, back on the 13th. You look at this 5-minute, and there's nothing you can do with this. This isn't tradable, even on this. And you guys recognize that. There's just nothing you can do with that. It just, what do you do with it? We're in an uptrend, a powerful uptrend, and yet it slowly bleeds down. There's nothing you can do with it. What you do is you say, to heck with this, and you go over and you look at the euro, or you look at a different contract. But those are the days that that you look at this. This is very bearish, and this consolidation appears to be bearish to me. And frankly, I would short a deal like this. Now, it didn't work, but that's the thought I have, is we've got a bottoming tails, nothing's really following through. All these bottoming tails are suggesting this thing goes higher, and when it finally does, it fails.
We got a tick extreme.
I heard your alarm go off.
That was mine.
And mine too.
Let's go see what's going on.
And tick extreme too.
Yeah, we do. But this one probably guys, probably has the market moving lower, not higher. This tick extreme did not come at the end of a move. Here's a 2-minute YM. Or had that tick extreme come at the end of the move, I would be more encouraged that this thing probably going to stop. But this is just getting going. I think it's going to keep going, guys. I mean, the NQ's been really strong. Let's go look at them real quick. Come on, signal. Yeah, they're all coming into some support. It'll be interesting to see. It's a poopy time of day to do much. There's a little cell set up here. See, if this thing comes right back in and retraces now, it just tells you to get the heck out of town. Don't even play with this. There's a Russell, guys. Now here's the picture I love for these shock bars. See how high it is after the top, how close to the top it is. I like them up here. This is where I want these shock bars to form. I don't want them to form halfway down a move or halfway through. You know, I've got resistance or support down here. I don't like them forming down in this lower half of the range. I want them to come right after we top out. And what that tells me is that's my last retest that's happening. It gets hit hard. But this thing's looks like it's gonna keep going. Yep, YM just broke. Yes, just broke. Another tick extreme. Now, if this thing got turned around with two double bottoms with a tick extreme in place, guys, then it's going back up. But I wouldn't touch it, primarily because of the time of day, and this becomes really erratic. Okay. Anyway, where were we before I flipped over here? Jose.
Let me ask you a question. That picture
Please.
you have there,
Yes.
if it now turns around and comes into the base, the bottom of the base.
Right here.
Right. So if it comes into that base, would that not be a breakdown failure?
Well, only if it breaks above. That's true, it would be. It would be. And in this case, it's not one that I would take long. It would be one that I would get out. If I were in a trade, it would take me out of a trade. Yeah, I'm not ready to take this long. I don't have any internals that suggest that I should be thinking long yet. If I can take out some resistance, then I'm interested in going long. But right now, my internals really are not confirming that. They're not suggesting that I should be going long at all. There's my up-down volume. I can move this over. Boy, my trend's way up, yeah. What's that?
If it does get in there, then it also may be an area where you're looking to short again. Because now it's coming back into resistance.
Yeah, I don't know. Well, no, not right now. Not right now, Jose. And let me just flip over while we're just talking about this. Let me just show you what I'm seeing. And here's a 5-minute screen. This guy's they popped up for you. As I see this, now we're getting a tick divergence on the 5-minute. Let's see how it completes. But this isn't really going well. And then part of the problem is I have all this support. All these contracts have got support. Now the Russell's broken into void, but the rest of these contracts are sitting here with a bunch of consolidation and junk right below me. So I don't want to reshort this. Even if it pops back up into here, I'm not interested in shorting it because I see so much support just below me. I don't see this time of day, and I don't see this as a high odds situation. So even a retracement back up now doesn't get me excited about shorting. As I put these two pictures together, does that make sense? I mean, do you guys agree, or what do you? I mean, I'm curious if short is the way to go because of the trend, but I just think this is going to be a tough trade. We're gonna have to sit through a lot of sloppy bars, I think, for this to get very far. Now the internals are suggesting it could go lower, but it's not going to go. It's not going to be a real fluid move down, I don't think, like the first one was. Go ahead, Dave.
I was just going to say, I was kind of actually I haven't done a trade today since the pre-market, and I've looking at the NQs or whatever, I could, even in hindsight, I could see maybe in the 10-15 area going long, but after that move that ended at 10:30, you got to be thinking long there, but then it never gave a setup, and then it came down so far. You can't be thinking long. But I found it tough today. I found myself just staring at the screen.
Actually, you're right, because if you didn't get the move off the top, there really hasn't been anything to trade, because there isn't good follow through. If you look at any of these charts, you see, you say, well, here's a double bottom. But what did it produce? You got one bar up, and then your next bar is a topping tail. That's not a good environment. And look how different, guys. Look how different this is. The same time frame. We didn't get a double bottom. So I would say I like the fact that the YM came down, double bottomed. The NQs, now they didn't double bottom at the same time. They actually had a little higher low, and so I like the idea of this being long. But I don't like going long against a red bar like this. This is not a bad picture. This is not a bad picture, but this one is. This is not a picture I like at all, to be trying to go long against that bar. I don't mind this one, and I even like these retests. But you get this, and this picture doesn't look. Now these retests look okay, and we saw really the response of that. But man, how do you sit through this stuff? Two double topping tail bars here after a double bottom is not the picture that you want to see. So to sit on your hands and do nothing in this mess is, I think, the right thing to do.
Right.
I really do. This stuff, do I think it's going lower? Yeah, I do. Do I want to sit through, I think, what it's going to require to get lower? I don't know. No, I don't. And I'm not convinced, just looking at the numbers, I'm not convinced that we're going to get through this support very well. I think we're going to have trouble getting through all this junk from the low of the day. And part of that, I believe, is because look how much stronger the Russell or the NASDAQ is than the other markets. And I just hate it when I see one market, like a day or two ago, remember how strong the YM was?
Yeah.
The YM had a really good day. In fact, Carol, it was Monday, I think, that you took that YM long trade.
I did. I hate the
Yeah,
YM.
it was a great trade, but it really screwed up the ability of the other markets to go any lower. And I think that's going to be a similar scenario today, is we're going to come into this area of support, and with the strength that we're seeing in the NASDAQ, and because of all this support, this is, and again, look at this now. Guys, if you took a 1, 2, 3 here on a 5-minute, you might, of course, you wouldn't do it now, I wouldn't do it now, because it doesn't meet our rules. Because there's no void, and there was no volume, and there's no base that it broke out of. So this, even though I have a 1, 2, 3 formation, nothing else in this picture is accurate. Nothing else meets any of our rules. So we just can't take that trade. Plain and simple. Once in a while they work out, but so often they don't. And then you get in the habit of taking bad trades. So there's let me go pull over. I'm going to go pull over let me just switch these. Now let's go look and see what the 2-minute looks like. 2-minute doesn't look good at all if you're short. Now see, this is the environment that I don't want to sit through. Yeah. Now we see this 2-minute, and I'm thinking, but man, I don't want to be long this thing, and I sure don't want to be short this because there's just no room for it. I just don't see this thing going anywhere, and it's really not. Now the NQs, this sloppy, ugly stuff. That would be the only argument for being long is this failure. This 1, 2, 3 failure. It's a terrible 1, 2, 3. That's why we don't take it. But because it failed, it wouldn't be surprising to see this thing pop up a little bit. And the NQs would be the only contract that it would make sense to me to try to play the failure like that. But that's, yeah. So Dave, as I look at this stuff with you, I'm thinking the same thing you are. I'm not sticking my foot into this mess. Tick Extreme that just went off, didn't follow through. There's a message in that would cause me some concern. And because of my internals, I can't go long. So we're in a place where our best bet is to do chart lessons. There's oil's not moving right now. The pound is not moving. Wheat's not moving. Corn's not moving. I don't see anything to do here, guys. This NQ, guys, is the closest thing to a reason to be long, because look at our 5-minute. Our 5-minute really has not changed trends. We're holding support. We've had a serious pullback this morning, but we set in a base with a higher low. Our double top really didn't change. As we look at this our double top up here really has not changed trends very well. So I see the argument for this being a long trade, but it's just a junky long trade. It's just a consolidation here now that could work out, but because the other markets are showing weakness and they have all broken their 5-minute trend, then you've only got one that you're trading in an uptrend. That is probably not a great scenario. This is tough when you get these markets in confusion like this. A couple of markets are 5-minute downtrend, a market's in a 5-minute uptrend. They screw up each other. So it's just a crapshoot. It's a good day to be doing almost anything other than trading, frankly, guys.
Yep.
Because you get signals that look pretty good signals that won't follow through on you. Yeah, Carol.
But this
Now the euro's
is
coming
your
down.
observation. VOD
Yeah,
and VODQ go opposite ways. Look at them. What you used to teach us.
Now the VOLD.
And VODQ.
Oh, yeah. In fact, I'll flip it over.
Oh,
We are seeing, we are seeing some contradiction in that, and your observation is absolutely accurate. That's from our open.
Yeah.
And if I go right to there, I've got one that's positive by 190 and one that's negative by 200, and the message there is that we don't have markets in harmony, and this is a great example of markets that I don't like to trade in, either long or short. Just who knows what's going to work out? you're going to get failures on both sides, I think. This is a great observation, Carol.
It's yours. You taught us those things.
Well, I mean, you guys are, picking them up. So, yeah, big clue. Guys, this is a big clue. You're right. Just stay the heck away. Now, maybe it cleans up after lunch, another hour. But right now, everything's telling me just stay the heck out of town. Don't get aggressive with anything here. I just can't. Gosh, I'm looking at all these things, and I'm just not seeing anything that looks appealing. I think lower is the direction, but man, I just can't see an entry that gives me any comfort. I don't see anything.
Would you consider taking long 1116 TF, the retest, as a climactic stop? I think you say yes, but I just want to hear you.
Let's go look at it. 11:15 on the Russell.
Your time, 9:15 your time.
9:15.
Actually, almost any contract. I just like the Russell because it took out the low of the previous bar.
You mean long? You like it long?
Yes, like a long scalp, right there. The red
Yeah.
bar ignored.
You got a good tick divergence going on, and you didn't get follow through. Remember, I said we didn't get follow through with that tick extreme. I would agree. That's this scenario that you're looking at, Carol.
I don't know.
agree.
9:15 your time. 9:15. Your time 9:15.
Yeah. So let me go back to what's going on right now, and then we'll come back to this other
Okay.
setup. This is a long setup in a better environment.
Okay.
I don't care for it because look, we've got all this base above us, and so could it go up there? If I'm just looking at this very micro time frame, I think yeah, it could. We've got a nice tick divergence. We didn't get follow through to this tick extreme. The other contracts are all in support. NQs are pretty strong. I could make an argument for thinking this thing could go higher. And a couple of these bottom tails like this are telling me that, in fact, it's going to try. But because of this junk, I know, just like we couldn't go any lower through the NQs or through the ES or through the YM, because of all that support we looked at, I think going up is going to be the same difficulty. We don't have wind at our back. Our trend now has gone up to 1.4 essentially. VIX isn't terrible, but it's higher from the open and not pulling back. So there's nothing from an internals that says long is a good idea. And with all this stuff above me, well, I think it can probably go up there now. I mean, just judging from what I'm seeing here, I don't think it's going to go very far, and it's going to have a rough go getting up there. The NQs, on the other hand, look like the best long. That's a 5-minute. But again, I'm not sure that I'm not going to take them. It doesn't appeal to me. But the scenario is such that I think they're going to try to push back up, and we'll see where it goes. Okay, Carol. Let's go back to that scenario you described. Is this a climatic top? Is that the question?
No. Wait, I know. You see the red? Can you give me the controls of showing?
Yes. Let me do that. Okay, there you go.
Okay. Okay, this bar. Okay, I'm sorry, this bar. Like we have like kind of like, not climactic exactly, but these tick extremes here, divergence, and this retest here, red bar ignore, whatever you call it. Would you take it yourself? Long?
I would have to go, um, probably not.
Uh-huh.
Did it become climatic?
Not really.
Well, actually, the ES did at that very moment. We traded 75,000 contracts on the 5. YM traded 3,600. It became a little climatic. The Russell didn't become quite as climatic as did the YM, for example, or the ES. But I'd have to look, and I didn't look, guys. I didn't look. I wasn't actually at my computer when this whole sell-off occurred. So the only trade I made today was that Euro trade that you saw me close out just when we got together. If there's support over here, if there's good support on these markets, then I think that this could have been. I could have had attention to get this. I may have tried to scalp this. I actually like to see a little better break on this bar.
Okay.
I was looking at oil at the very same time that this was occurring, because oil came down to the bottom at the same time this did, and oil didn't give me a 1 minute retest. I was looking for it. It gave me a bar like this, like you described here, Carol.
Mm-hmm.
It didn't give me a good 1 minute retest, and I let it go. Didn't even trade it. In fact, it popped up 80 ticks off of that low. It didn't follow through, but it came right up 80 ticks off the ultimate low, which would have been a really nice trade, but it didn't ever give me the right retest to get in it. So I prefer to see a little better retest on this, and then you would have gotten a really nice tick extreme. Now, here's the question. Did one of the other contracts give it to you? Not really. There's the NQs. Did the ES give it to us? Nope, not really. I bet the YM didn't give it to us either. What set this whole thing off this morning, guys? No, we didn't even get it with this. What news set this off?
I don't think there was any. I don't think there's anything out. 10:30 gas, but that's not going to do anything.
Yeah, no.
Nothing that I know.
Guys, yeah, of the 3 contracts, this is the only contract, the Russell, that gave you an entry on this sell-off. The rest of them were just V-tops that didn't give you a signal. There was no tick divergence. There was no warning that this baby was going to collapse. There really wasn't. I looked through it afterwards, just didn't see. And this is the only contract that actually gave you a chance to get in on this retest.
If you were watching the Russell there for an entry, would you have not taken it because of the other contracts?
No, I would have. I would have taken it because the fact that I got a retest here and the other ones didn't give me the retest, and they were just continuing to move. The other ones were showing relative weakness, and so this retest, when this retest fails, here, that's the spot that would have interested me. Is I would have wanted this to trade down below there. And that would have interested me. But the fact that the other ones were really, really weak and I didn't get a retest at all makes it okay to take this retest.
Now, if you were looking to take that, that's, I think that, what is that, about 15 ticks in that bar?
Probably is. So you either size down or you don't take it.
Okay.
Yeah.
But if you're going to take it, your stop would have to go over the top of it, not
until you get the breakdown. It does. Yeah. Once you get, guys, this is a good question because once I get the price to break lower. So, for example, let's go and look at this as it moves. So once this bar occurs, alrighty. Once I get this bar done, then I'm concerned. If we come back in much above that bar, I'm concerned that this isn't going to work. I don't want to see that happen. So this one, I may not move my stop just yet. By the time I get another one, you can bet for sure now I can't have a breakout or a breakdown failure. My stop has got to get moved now. Got to get moved. I'm into a little support down here. I don't know what's going to happen, but I don't want a breakdown failure. So I would be moving a stop down so that I don't have a big exposure anymore. And the time you get one of these, and this is a rule that I'll always stick to. Now that I've got that occurred, this picture, my stop is going to be right there above that bar. I get a baby bar like this, and I know that 90% of the time, look at this market trying to pop up. 90% of the time, you get this little 1, 2, 3 continuation, and that fails. This baby's going higher. So if I get this bar formation, the 1, 2, 3 setup, and it fails, I'm bringing a stop here. So it can't go anymore. Because I get a 1, 2, 3 failure, and this baby's going to come back in just for sure. So that's where my stop would be on as this thing works out. And this is going to be an automatic. Every time I get this environment, I'm gonna do this. Now, if I didn't have support, I would be willing to give this a little more room. But where I've got support coming in here, this would scare the bejeebers out of me. And I likely would be bringing this stop down into here now, tightening it up a little bit more with this 2-minute bar, because I don't want this to fail. Now, thank goodness it didn't. And again, now I'm bringing a stop down in here. You know, I'm all the way down, and now I can start bringing a stop. There's my take extreme. This would probably at least something has to come off down here now with this take extreme. And there's a good reason why. He starts to turn around. But if you were trading this, guys, unlikely. If you were in this thing, you'd be working your way out of the position, not working your way into one. If you didn't get it, the biggest mistake I oftentimes see traders make is they didn't get the right move. They didn't get the proper move. So they try to get the rebound on when this move runs out. And that oftentimes is a mistake. Because you find it. We try to short a market moving higher, right? We didn't get the move up. So we think, well, God, there will be a retracement. I know there'll be a retracement. And usually there is. But counter-trend trades that aren't perfect counter-trend trades are terrible ideas. And so sometimes we find ourselves, because we missed the good trade, trying to manufacture a trade off the top or off the bottom. Now, this one isn't necessarily a bad trade off the bottom. Had it given me a better retest, Carol, then I would have liked this long. This one would have been hard to get on. This is kind of a V bottom, V top, and if you get this and it works out for you, great. It's not compelling to me. That's all. Had this gone to negative 1600 or 1500 and not 11, then yes, even negative 1300 would have been compelling to take long, even on a V bottom. I'd have been looking at a 1-minute chart then. Because I see ticks. When I get ticks that go negative 1300, it's over. It really is. It's over. Okay, look at this. Look at this thing. It's not going up, and it's not going down. So our analysis is correct. This is junk, and all it's going to do is take our money. No matter if we're long or if we're short, we're going to lose money on this trade or trading in this environment. You just can't be right with this kind of environment. I mean, no matter what you decide to do, it's going to be wrong. Unless you're golfing. Anything else?
Yeah, go over your Euro trade this morning.
Okay. It was pretty simple.
That's a counter trend trade.
Well, it was, but
Just tell me what.
yeah, it sort of was. And this is fine. We'll just use this one because this is perfect for. We had moved a long ways, and again, we didn't have. Well, let me do this. Let me change screens because I got all the screens up on the other monitor. Okay, here we are. Here's my 5 minute. Here is my 1 minute. There's my 1 minute. That's what I want to see. Because I was actually taking this off of the 1 minute. I was watching both my 1 and my 2. Okay, so if you guys can see these. Here was my first entry. And going back to a 5. Let's go back to a 5. Again, I've got my lines already drawn in. And again, I know I wanted, as I mentioned, I was hoping this would come a little sooner. But my dollar over here was also topping out. Okay, look at my dollar. Now look how these lines line up. I was getting topping tails in my dollar up here in the right-hand top corner. That's a 15. Up here in the top, that's a 15. So I was feeling comfortable that the dollar, even though it broke through its prior highs, the dollar was going to stall up here for a bit. And because of this fluid, quick move down, it got a little climatic. I would have liked, ideally, I would have liked to have seen a big volume bar and a range expansion into the bottom. Didn't get it, but I thought, this is worth a little shot up because I've got the dollar stalling up here with me. So really, guys, my first entry, and I don't do this a lot, but this one worked out okay. My first entry was right there at 10 when this bar got ignored, and this is the one that really caught my attention. Says it's time to start doing. It was a pretty good number. That 1 minute bar, volume bar here, was a pretty good number. So I was thinking this thing is getting extreme from, at least in the short term, this is getting extreme. And it looks like it's ready to go again, guys. It looks like it could pop up right here. I'm not going to take it, but it looks like it could pop up right here. So that's what happened. My stop was 95. 99 is where the bottom of that bar was, and I thought, I'm going to give this just a little bit of room because I think this will pop up. And it came back down and did me a retest, and that's when I added again, Paul. So when we traded here, that was, I think, I have to go look at my entry. I think I was actually didn't fill till 7. If I remember my order entry, I tried to fill down here as close, but I think I got pushed off, and I filled at 7 on this trade. But this is the key I was looking for. And I ordered, and I put in 2 more contracts there. And that's really all it was. You look at the 2 minute, and we got a good little double bottom, and that little retest. So, the 5 minute looks, a little bit differently, but not a good little 3 bottoms down there. And thank goodness I sold it up here. That was luck. Because the 5 minute would have taken me out. And I'd have been out more like 20 or 19 or somewhere in there. But I ended up with an extra 10 ticks, thank you. So that's all I was looking for, Paul. But this has to happen after it gets pretty extreme. And I also not only do I watch the volume on the 5, I watch the volume on the 1 and the 2. And if I can get those getting extreme, and they were starting to get extreme, some of the highest volume bars, mind you, after the breakdown, these bars were still staying quite extreme quite high on volume. So I figured it was probably going to turn. The odds were with me it was going to turn. Now look at this 1 minute bar right here, this 2 minute that's happening right now. Okay, that little thing says, now you can see the 5. this thing says I want to pop up. .15 minutes topping out nicely. I got a nice 5-minute topping tail shock type bar that's happening on the 5 minute of the DX over here on the very far right.
No, but don't waste
Which,
your time.
again, guys, this is why the DX is sitting right next to my Euro. Is these two are coupled hand in hand, and I got to know what the Euro's doing, or excuse me, what the DX is doing to trade the Euro. Then it looks like it could pop up. I don't like the fact that we broke this support, frankly, and it's popping up now as a new low failure. For the E-minis, that might work a little better, particularly YM, but I don't care for it here. So it doesn't appeal to me as a long trade just yet. Get a nice little retest down here, and then maybe I might get more excited. But we're in terrible volume. It just doesn't strike my fancy as a high odds trade right there. And the E-minis are struggling considerably even right now. Look at your E-minis. They're still struggling a great deal. And I like them to be going and complementing one another. They don't have to. This Euro can move without the E-minis for sure. But I find that when both of them, both the E-minis and the Euros are working together, things look a little better.
Except for the fact that the last couple of days, the dollar actually has moved with the E-minis.
It has. You're right. That's the last 2 days since the dollar's gotten, yesterday we had a big up day and the dollar was up.
Right.
Today the dollar's up again and now the markets are down.
Right. But you should
Look at-
work in opposites.
Often they have been. That's been more true as of late. Now, guys, look. This is kind of interesting here. Look what's happening right now. Is my up-down volume is really getting a bounce here. It's gone from negative 200 only to negative 60,000. My trend's coming down. My VIX is coming down. VIX hasn't really improved a great deal. That's from the get-go. My trend's coming down nicely. It's down to 700. ADD is trying to improve. But the up-down volume is coming around. But guys, one of the other messages that I find is, as I look at this really from the bigger picture, while we're getting a little pop up here, this is becoming rather erratic. This is now becoming erratic. And I wouldn't be surprised if we don't get a pop up in the markets. But it looks junky. It looks junky to me. Yeah, I'm just not going to trade this stuff right now. The pound is not responding well, even though the euro is bouncing pretty good right now. The pound is not responding well, and they don't have to work together, but I like it when they are. So the Russell's really dogging it. Comparatively, it's really not responding that well. And the primary reason is, look at your 5-minute Russell. It's got all that junk above it, where the other contracts really don't have the same weight over their heads as the Russell does. That's why it's going to have a little more difficulty. So we're seeing some improvements, but the improvements aren't really quality improvements. In my opinion, we're not seeing quality improvements. Now the trend just popped back up to plus 100, plus 1. That's getting a little erratic too. There's our euro back. That little shock bar had a pretty good effect. guys, anything else? Is there any trades you want to cover real quickly? Then I'm going to be out of here. Okay, Dave was the only one that sent me some input. We'll go through oil another day. I do want to share some things with you on just some things with you on oil. We'll do that another day. But in the meantime, guys, the other couple of items that I want to cover before we get done is, because I think we've got 3 more sessions together, is some of the things that you want me to cover. Make sure that we've done that and that your questions are answered.
Can we just confirm, next week, are we Tuesday 4, Thursday noon?
Same. Okay. Well, no, actually, guys, this is going to be up to you because let's go look at our calendar real quick. We can't, on the 18th, oh, what's the date today? Oh, it's the 6th today, sorry. 11 and 13. So, if one of those mornings you guys want to do an open morning, do an opening, we'll start here about 9 o'clock.
Okay.
And do the open.
Okay.
And just go through play-by-play and not really have an agenda other than let's just watch the market. Let's talk about what's going on and do the analysis on the opening and you see what we get. And either of those days are fine with me. You'll have to tell me if you guys prefer one day or the other. And I actually would prefer a good day that gives us nice clean trades, clean moves. So if you guys will tell me which day that was or which day that'll be, let's do it.
Okay. Can we do this tomorrow in an email?
In an email?
I don't know which one of the 2 days I can do, so I have to consult with
Yes.
my boss.
Yep, you bet.
Yeah, I'm fine. I can just tell guys now I'm fine for either day, so.
Tell you what, Carol, let's wait. You kick me an email and tell me what day is good. And if you all guys are okay for either morning, let's just Carol, when you determine which one works for you, then we'll do it on that day. Because like I say, I'm easy either way.
Yeah, I'm good.
Jose?
I'm not easy, just to make things clear.
Okay,
I'm
I'll clear
open,
that.
I'm open both days.
Okay.
You're cooperative, huh?
Right.
That's good to know.
Only because my wife is in the room.
I understand.
Okay. All right.
Okay,
Thanks.
Carol.
Thank you.
You kick me back an email. Tell me when you want to go, and then I'll kick you guys one, and we'll plan either Tuesday or Thursday, and we'll just do an open and go through one of those.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Okay.
My pleasure. And then, guys, plan on whatever day that we don't do the open. The other day we will go through oil.
Thank you. All right.
Okay. No,
Very nice.
my pleasure. Okay, guys. Have a good day. Again, you can catch